Good morning, welcome to EduSet Network. Friend, as you know, today we have another lecture on services marketing. The last lecture we discussed about the basic concepts and what is the myth related with the services marketing and how a services marketing could be done. Today we will move further and we will try to understand the strategy and approaches adopted in services marketing, and we will discuss in detail in this issue. And for discussion on this very topic, we have in studio the same resource person, Professor Ravi Shankar. He is a well-known name in the management education, senior academician, author, and his professional career is marked with distinction. He has held several important positions in different organizations and worked in various organizations like MDI Gurgaon, Indira Gandhi National Open University, and IMC New Delhi Indian Institute of Mass Communication, and presently he is the chairperson of Graduate Strategy Development Center of IFT, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, the premier institution of the country, the only one institution which caters need of the foreign trade, and only one center has opened in Kolkata, but this is only one institution which is taking needs of the foreign trade and giving degree in the foreign trade. And he is also academically well rooted and has authored 5 books. The 2 books which have been very popular among the management students are Services Marketing, the Indian Perspective, and the other is Managing Distribution. And Dr. Ravi Shankar is also a member of various university institutions. He is academic council member, board member, and has a specialization in the field of services marketing and has undertaken consultancy and training program of various institutions like HMT Limited, ONGC, MMTC, ITC, Welcome Group. There are various more. And apart from this, I would like to also tell you here that Dr. Ravi Shankar is a senior consultant on the panel of Commonwealth of Learning, Vancouver, Canada, and has conducted tutor training program. So his experience and his knowledge will certainly help us to understand services marketing. And you know, services marketing, how it's different from the product marketing, very well explained in a study lecture, Professor Ravi Shankar. So his practical experience and also the academic achievement which he has drawn. And one more thing I would like to say that Dr. Ravi Shankar has also been invited by JP Group and set up one of the business school in Noida, and in 2 years he did wonder there. That was considered one of the top ranked business school in the country. So I think his administrative acumen also works. So he will help us to understand the services marketing and give insights. So on behalf, I welcome him for EduSet lecture on this very topic, the strategy and approaches of services marketing. Welcome, sir.
Very good morning, friends. We start this interaction once again, and over the next 1 hour or say 55 minutes, we will look at marketing strategies in the services sector. When it comes to the differentiation between what is the meaning of strategy or what do we mean by tactics, so there is a difference which we all draw between tactics and services, strategies. Strategy is always a long term, long drawn, and plan, and also the implementation plan is a part of the strategy. Strategy is always long term. For example, if you have to reach a particular place, you always ensure you plan it out, that what time you will get up, what time you will get ready, what time you will leave your house, how you will go, etc., etc. So all these elements are part of the strategy. But tactical is that as you leave, you find that there is a traffic jam. So then you take another route and you do a shortcut. You take a small road, gully, and all that. So that is a tactical dimension to it. But objective is just the same, to reach at a particular point on time. So this is a general, a very simple difference between strategy and tactics. What we are discussing is the strategic dimension and not the tactical aspects. because tactics we follow situationally, and therefore what we study is we call it strategy. Now, before we start discussing strategies in the services sector, I would like to elaborate on a particular concept, and the concept of critical success factors. In the marketing literature or in marketing jargons, we talk of key success factors or critical success factors. The point here is that there are certain factors which are critical for your success, which means that if you do not control these factors, it could be that you may not be able to succeed in your business ventures. And in every service organization, there are limited areas where success has to be achieved. For example, in healthcare sector. In healthcare sector, the mortality is a very important factor for success. Imagine there is a hospital where the patient go and they return only dead. Do you think anybody will go to that hospital? So the mortality of patient is a factor, is a critical factor for the success of a healthcare institution. Now, understand that in your service, what is most critical factor for your success? For example, in civil aviation sector, in airlines, it is the on-time arrival, on-time departure. Now, this factor is the most critical factor for success. In an educational institution, the career which the students get after passing out. Now, that becomes a very critical factor for the success of an educational institution, like IIMs, somebody who studies at IIM, what kind of career progression they get by studying there. Now, that becomes a critical factor for their success. Similarly, one can keep taking more and more examples, but the idea here is that we should start thinking in terms of what factors are critical for your success. Now, these factors are not external, that you can't have any control on them. These factors are internal to the company. A company can influence results in those areas through their action. For example, for a business school, a critical factor for the success of any business school is the placement and the quality of placement which a business school get. Now, that can be influenced by your own decisions. What type of students we will recruit, what type of education we will impart, what type of practical exposure we will give them over 2 years, what type of personality development we will do over the 2 years time when the child is with us. And then you also do networking with the industry to get your students placed. Now, this is a very important factor which one has to look at, that you decide what factors are critical for your success. The whole concept is there are limited areas where things must take place in the right direction for the business to flourish and cherish. Now, these limited areas you must identify what are they, and then develop an action plan to achieve success in those areas. And that is the entire concept in the strategic thinking about critical success factors. In some books, this factor is called key success factor, whether you call it key or critical. But personally, I like the word critical because the importance is very clear that if you don't give attention to these factors, you may not succeed. So, these factors are very critical for your success. Give attention to these factors. And as the literature says that these factors are within your control, these are not subject to external conditions, these are internal. Management can influence decisions. Today, at least over the last 6 months, I have personally observed that Indian Airlines, so-called Air India now, Air India is now flying aircrafts on time. They have achieved very high level of punctuality, and obviously this has been they are able to do it because they realize that it's a loss-making airlines. This airline has to do well so as to be quite successful. So these variables which proved determinants of organization success or failure, they are very critical, and they may change over time. For example, every airline starts flying aircrafts on time. What will happen? It will become a common denominator, and therefore, in that situation, some other factors may become very important, and that could be how you handle. Maybe the passenger safety becomes far more important at that time. So each situation has its own specific requirements, and therefore I look at maybe there are 10 rules of service strategies. I will discuss each rule one by one and take you through that. The first rule in the services is internal marketing is a prerequisite for success. As you can see from the diagram which I am showing, that conventionally we think that company has to look at its customers, give attention to its customers. But in the services sector, it is being said that first you should give attention to your employees. If your employees are happy, they can look after your customers. The assumption here is that dissatisfied employees can never give you satisfied customers. So this is the point which makes service organizations so different from the manufacturing organizations. In service organizations, what we say from the marketing angle, employees come first, and what comes second are customers. And in the conventional, otherwise conventional thinking is customer is the king, give attention to the customer. But in the services sector, we say the customers come second. Who comes first is employees. Give attention to your employees, look after your employees. If you look after your employees will look after your customers. If you don't look after your employees will never look after your customers. Why? Because dissatisfied employees will never create satisfied customers. Only satisfied employees can create satisfied customers. So some amount of marketing has to be targeted at the employees. Let's take an example of an audit firm. It's a private limited company. There is a person, whatever name you may give, Sharma, Verma, whatever. So Sharma and Company, Verma and Company, they have a small office, and Mr. Sharma has 4 or 5 boys who go to do the audit, and he knows marketing means keep the boys happy. If the boys are happy, they don't make any mistake. If they don't make any mistake, the good word spreads. The good word spreads, so Mr. Verma or Mr. Sharma, they get one more business to audit. The business is growing at the rate of 20%. What more they want? So this is what we call internal marketing is a prerequisite. In a particular day, one employee, one boy comes to Mr. Verma, says, tomorrow I will not come, sir, because my mother is unwell. He said, fine dear, don't worry. If there is any work left, please explain to your other colleague. See to it that in case it remains pending, you come on Sunday and complete it. If you want any advance, let me know. Now these boys feel that how caring Mr. Verma is, and that is what is the learning here. Look after your employees. If you look after your employees will look after your customers. So service marketing, in the services marketing, rule 1 is internal marketing is a prerequisite for success. If the internal marketing programs collapse, your entire marketing program can collapse. Rule 2 is clear positioning. Who you are, what you stand for. Many a time we find positioning doesn't mean that there is a confusion people have that you just advertise and people will start believing in it. For example, one airline started advertising, we have changed. So other came and advertised, we made them change. In any case, where is the other airlines today? It has perished. So running down competitors doesn't mean it is a good strategy. It's not. It may not be a good strategy. It is therefore essential for you to understand what kind of positioning strategy you will have. So you have to see that in the services sector also, you may use the positioning on specific product features or benefits which people have, or maybe when they use the service or user category, what type of people you attract, like some of the restaurants or clubs. They cater to upper income category or higher income category, and their relationship to with the other specific service, or the entire organization is positioned as a whole. In fact, in the services sector, it is very important to understand that organizations are positioned. In the manufacturing sector, each brand is positioned separately. A company called Levers, they may have 3 brands of detergent, maybe Surf Excel, maybe Wheel, maybe Rin. Each brand is positioned separately. But when it comes to services, your image, the image of the company is very important. What you think of State Bank of India, that's important. If you don't think very high of State Bank of India, SBI, State Bank of India perhaps cannot sell more of mutual fund, insurance and so on. So what is important in the services sector, organization as a whole is positioned. Corporate positioning is critical. Air India, you just can't say our international routes are okay and our domestic routes are not very good. As a passenger, everyone looks at the Air India as a total, composite, holistic brand. So is LIC. So in the services sector, organization as a whole is positioned, and that is where corporate positioning is a must in the services sector. Also, there is a need to revisit whatever we are doing. It could be that you have to reposition yourself. So far so good, जो किया तो अब तक ठीक था मगर आगे नहीं चलेगा. So far the positioning has worked for you, but tomorrow it may not, and therefore you have to rework and revisit your positioning strategy. Bank of Baroda, they underwent that exercise. They changed the logo, they changed the color, and they tried to position themselves, reposition themselves as a friendly kind of a bank. Whether they achieved that objective or not, it's a matter of perception. But that example which I have given is just that in the context of the company thought that they have to reposition. So is Air India, where they were using Centaur at the tail fin. Also Maharaja, they kept the Maharaja in the advertisements, but now they use the rising sun as a symbol. So whether that rising sun has been able to influence perceptions of the people or not in the positive sense, only then we can say the repositioning worked. But many a time the repositioning strategies, they fail miserably at the marketplace. So you need to decide whether the repositioning is required or not. Rule 3 is identify elements of the product package. Actually, you develop around the core primary and augmented and auxiliary dimensions. This is a basic lesson which we have in marketing, that around the core benefit, you put some of the primary characteristics and you augment it. And actually this example which I have taken is that why you buy paper clips. You buy paper clips to keep the papers together. But to keep the papers together, you have different options. You can use staplers, to use staple pins or all pins, or you can take a punch and make a hole and put a tag there. But your need actually is to keep papers together without spoiling them. Now that's the need. And the second part is far more critical, that you don't want to spoil the papers. You do have so many documents which you want to keep together, but without spoiling them. For example, your property documents, could be your insurance certificates, you as student, you have your degree certificates. So these degree certificates, you don't want to make a hole with a punch and put a tag in it. So somebody thought that paper clips, improve the quality of paper clips and put a plastic coating. The moment you do the plastic coating on it, these paper clips, they may meet the requirements 100%. Now if you see this diagram which I have shown earlier, and you read what I have written on that selection and blending of products' primary and auxiliary dimensions into a unified mix. The plastic coating fits with the paper clip so well that the consumer see it as a distinct benefit, and that is the entire idea in that what additional can be done. That little extra you do, it goes a long way to satisfy customer needs by 100%. Given a choice, which paper clip you will buy, of the first category or the second category? Majority of the people prefer the plastic coating paper clip. Why? Because they not only keep the papers together, but also they don't spoil the papers. The first category paper clip, after 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they get rusted, उसमें जंग लग जाता है, and they make the paper brown, and though you don't want your degree certificates to be spoiled like that. So similarly, in the services sector, it is suggested that you identify what more is needed, and you have to integrate that dimension into your overall market offer. That makes your market offer so unique and so different. And that is where I call that identify the different elements of the product package, augment it to the extent possible, so that in the marketplace, customers see your market offer very different as against competitors, and you get an edge because customer perceive your market offer so different and so unique as against the competitors. For example, a company which is there in India, we also have this company. In London, in England, there is a company which does funerals. Now, they kept on thinking that our business is not in making coffins and doing the funerals. In India also we have a company called Albert Pinto and Sons. So Albert Pinto and his 2 sons, they do the funerals, and they do high class, high society or whatever you call it, funerals. And Mr. Albert Pinto in India, he is a certified embalmist. And the meaning of embalmist is that they can preserve the body. They do some chemical treatment with the body so the body can last a little longer. In some cases where the body has to be taken to the foreign land, and it takes about 5 to 6 days to do so. In the meantime, the body can decompose. So they do that kind of a treatment. But George Ball & Sons, which works in London, they realize that their business is just not making coffins and doing the funeral. They realize that the business is actually to help the family to lead the normal life. And they realize that to help them to lead the normal life, they should have counselors. So they thought of adding counselors in their company, and these counselors visit the families. They counsel them to learn to live without the loved one and start leading a normal life. So they understood their business. The business is just not to do the funeral, that you give the coffin, you give the van, and then everything is over, you get your money. No. They thought their business is far more, where they need doctors to do the certification of the death, and maybe many documents have to be done in case the body has to be taken to a foreign country. And then some people have different choices, the kind of funeral they want. Some people want a funeral which is not very expensive. Others have very different things. So they understood their business, and actually if you visit the website of George Ball & Sons, you will realize that George Ball & Sons is miles ahead of others. Nobody is close by to them. They are even having coffins which are biodegradable. They are made out of leaves, bamboos, and that kind of material. So they understood their business. The business is not a culture. Yesterday I was also telling you that many a times you have to see what you are doing. As I said earlier, yesterday, कैंची है तो नाई है. Yes, but if I go to the barber, if I'm buying a scissor, then it is a product. But if somebody is using the scissors to give me a haircut, it becomes a service. If I'm buying a car, then car is a product. But if I'm hiring a car to go from one place to the other, that becomes a service. It is in that similar context I'm saying that you realize what you are doing. You are doing just not giving a coffin to carry the dead body to the funeral or the cremation ground, but you are looking at helping the people to lead a normal life, giving them certain level of comfort, giving them certain kind level of support in the hours of their frustration and distress. It happens in everybody's life. It doesn't happen so often in everybody's life. By the time it happens for the second time, people have forgotten their first experience. कैसे हुआ था, कैसे कौन आया था, कैसे किया था, कब ये करना है, कब वो करना है, कब चौथा करना है, किस दिन जाना है अस्थियां लेने. So all that you start afresh. And George Ball & Sons or even Albert Pinto in India, they help in doing all that. I'm just giving an example. Look at this photograph, it is just not an ordinary restaurant. It's an experience. When you go to eat food outside, it's an experience. May I ask the studio staff to please show the photograph? Yeah. So you see this photograph, it's just not an ordinary restaurant, it's an experience. That it is under the sea, you have a restaurant, and it does exist, it's not a hypothetical figure. It is again another hotel which they created in Sweden. It's an ice hotel, and they have nothing but ice all over, but it's again an experience. So when it comes to services, you identify different elements of the product package, and that is the point I was trying to emphasize, that identify the rule 3, identify the elements of the product package and try to augment it the way we looked at in a restaurant. It's a very different experience you go through whether you eat at a restaurant like this or you stay in a hotel like this. Rule 4 is demand management. Each one of us, we know if it takes time, you are unhappy. Waiting line, waiting time, they create dissatisfaction. Shorter the waiting time, shorter the waiting line, that create satisfaction. So demand analysis is a must to reduce the waiting time. If you reduce the waiting time, you may find that people are satisfied. So you must learn what could be the best queuing configuration. The queuing configurations, I have given those 6-7 types of queuing configuration. The first configuration is single line, single server, single stage. The second is single line, single server, sequential stage, the way you go and pick up food in a buffet meal. Parallel line to multiple servers, the way we go to the airport. So there are half a dozen counters, you can stand in any queue which you like. Designated line to designated server. Business class passengers, they stand in one queue. First class passengers, they stand in the other queue. The ones who are not carrying any baggage, hand baggage or check-in baggage, they quickly board the flight. So single line to multiple servers. So this is typically we find for immigration or for security check, we follow that kind of a line and take a number and wherever you want. Now the last system is typically when you go to a doctor, the doctor tells you आपका number 7वां है. So you can sit and wait, and when your number comes, they call you. So these are alternate queuing configuration. You decide what kind of queuing configuration you should use, so that the waiting time is reduced and the customer dissatisfaction is also reduced, because waiting line and waiting time, they add to dissatisfaction. Higher the waiting line, higher the waiting time, higher the dissatisfaction. Rule 5 is quality control. I would request the studio staff that you can just keep focus on this slide only, because we will build one by one. The quality control has, what is quality in manufacturing sector? In manufacturing sector, quality means conforming to specification, fitness to use, etc. We have seen some products, food products, some medicines, they have a life. Today they are fit for use, but it is written expiry date November 15, which means after 15th of November they don't recommend for use. It is not fit to be used. Maybe a bottle of fruit juice, maybe a bottle of jam, maybe some other food item, maybe medicines. So fitness for use, before the expiry date it is fit, and after the expiry date it's misfit. So what is quality in the services sector? In the manufacturing sector, it could be you are talking of quality in the context of fitness for use, or it could be conforming to specification. There is a specification that that steel should be of a particular quality, or so much of a particular material must be used. You should not be using, you should use, even if you are using plastic, even plastic should be of a particular nature and type. But in the services sector, I don't think that you can use these dimensions. And typically in the services sector, we must understand the gap analysis. Gap analysis helps you to improve quality. What is gap? Gap in terms of what you were expecting and what you are getting. So the gap between your expectations and what you receive is called the quality. If the gap is wide, the quality is poor. If the gap is narrow, the quality is high. So the gap analysis model suggests that in the services sector, we call that there is a field of customer and the marketer. Like the expectations of the customers. The expectations of the customers, they come from word of mouth, their personal needs and the past experience. And if the management doesn't have any clear understanding on the customer expectations, that we call as the gap 1, and that gap 1 is called the knowledge gap. That management does not have any knowledge about the expectations of the customers. The second gap actually is that management, whatever they have understood about the expectations, they translate into service delivery specifications. Now this gap, if you don't develop right specifications, then it is called the service standard gap. Now you have service standard, but what you deliver much short of that. And third gap, we call it service delivery gap. As you can see on the monitor, the service delivery, that you do have service standards, but you deliver much less. For example, in a hospital I am aware of, in Delhi, one hospital, they say they have a service standard that a patient who comes in casualties ward under emergency must be handed over to the concerned medical department in 40 minutes, which means that is a standard they have. But if they don't adhere to that standard, normally it takes 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours, they are diagnosing, kya bimari hai, pata nahi lag raha. So one test, other test, third test, and the patient die in the meantime. Now that is what is the implied meaning. And in this particular hospital, I will not give you the name of that hospital, they have created a benchmark. In 40 minutes, the entire analysis and diagnosis must be done, and the patient should be handed over to the concerned medical department in the first 40 minutes. If they don't, it comes under review with the senior medical superintendent in the weekly review meetings, and then the entire team of medical doctors who were there on duty, they are questioned and they were asked why they couldn't handle it earlier or faster. So service, the third gap actually is the service delivery gap. And from service delivery, you deliver so little, but the fourth gap is you communicate, you talk a lot about yourself. There are some companies, they advertise so much about themselves. And each one of us, we perceive something about those communications. So gap 4 is a communication gap, and gap 5 is the perception gap, that what meaning you assign to the advertisements which the company is releasing. There are some business schools which advertise so much about themselves beyond IIMs and so on, and each one of us, we assign some meaning that they are not of that high quality and so on. So this gap analysis model helps us to understand how do you bridge the gap. And some companies have excelled their quality to such an extent that they stand guarantee for their service. So quality is reflected in service guarantee, that you stand guarantee, foolproof. Like Domino's, they say 30-minute delivery, on-time delivery. If you have to send a document abroad, which courier company you will select? If you go to a particular courier company and not any Indian company, but an international company like FedEx and so on, why you go to such company? Because they stand guarantee for the delivery anywhere, any part of the world in 72 hours. But that is where we say that service guarantee works. It helps the company to project itself as a very good company, very effective company, and therefore it is being said service guarantee works for companies who are already customer focused. Effective guarantee can be a big deal. They put the company at the risk of in the eyes of the customers. Customer should be involved in designing the service guarantee, because guarantee has to be seen from the customer perspective. The guarantee should be so stunning that it comes as a surprise. Maybe that is where we call it must have a wow factor. It is icing on the cake and not the cake. So if you are delivering, make it foolproof, and foolproof delivery is actually in the courier business, it really works. Rule 6, there are 10 rules. I have done 5, another 5 rules I will quickly do, and in the next 15 minutes or so I will finish that, and then we will take a few questions. So rule 6 is clear interaction among marketing, operations and human resource. In the service industry, it's very difficult to say who is in marketing and who is not. The fact is that there are some service organizations which do not have a marketing department. That doesn't mean that they are not in marketing. Look at police, state police, Delhi police, whichever state you belong to, Haryana police, Punjab police, MP police, Tamil Nadu police, Andhra police. Now the police departments, they don't have a marketing department, but they are in marketing. Every police department is trying to project themselves that they are for the citizens, for the welfare of the citizens. Even the Delhi police have a slogan, with you, for you, always. So they try to be friendly. Recently we have seen an advertisement of Delhi police around Raksha Bandhan in the month of August. And they are trying to go closer to the citizens. So that doesn't mean that if they don't have a marketing department, they are not in marketing. They are in marketing. A lot of hospitals, they don't have marketing department, but they are projecting themselves as friendly, and they say that, look, we take care of the patients and we provide cure to the ailments they suffer from. So the entire understanding I want you to have is that there are many service organizations which may not have a marketing department. but they are still in marketing. Look at HelpAge India. They don't have a marketing department, but for them, marketing HelpAge is a major issue. Fundraising is a major issue. If they generate more funds, they serve the society in a bigger way. So they may sell their greeting cards. From their greeting cards, they generate funds. A lot of NGOs which are for street children or for destitutes or for orphans. Now they sell candles and decorative things which you use during Diwali time in your homes. Do people go and buy them? Perhaps not. Why? Because you don't know where to go and buy. So they are in marketing. They are unable to do it. But if they do it well, they will be able to serve the society better. So therefore, I am trying to emphasize that there are large number of service organizations which may not have a marketing department, but they are in marketing. And therefore, what I am emphasizing, there is nothing called marketing in many service organizations. It's all interlinked. It is operations, human resource and marketing. They work together for the welfare of the customers. And here, the marketing imperative is to target right customers and build relationships, because that is the ultimate focus of marketing, to build relationships, offer solutions that meet their needs, and define quality package with competitive advantage. The operation imperative is create, deliver specified service to target customers, adhere to consistent quality standards, and achieve high productivity to ensure acceptable cost. And the operation resource imperative here is to recruit and retain the best employees, train, motivate them to work well together, and achieve both productivity and customer satisfaction. Now, recruit and retain best employees is a very important variable in the services sector. If you have good employees, they look after the customers and the customers are satisfied. I just giving an example. Look at all good hospitals in India, whether Delhi or outside India, or even outside India in Middle East. They have paramedical staff from one state of this country. Even in Delhi, all good hospitals, they have paramedical staff from Kerala. At best, some from Northeast. They don't take paramedical staff from Haryana, Punjab, UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh. Wherever, whichever city you are, you look at in your own city, you will find good hospitals have paramedical staff from Kerala or from Northeast. They know from where to recruit and retain, because these people, they are really committed to the care of the patient. And these private hospitals particularly, they tell the paramedical staff that you have to do everything to extend comfort to the patient. This is the job description. You have to extend comfort as soon as possible. You have to do everything to extend comfort to the patient. Now, this is what I call the human resource imperative in the services marketing. And these hospitals, they may not advertise much. They don't advertise like a lot of products which you see on television, toilet soap, soft drinks, chocolates. They are advertised, kitchen masalas. They are advertised so much on television, but good hospitals, they don't advertise. They go, their name spreads by word of mouth. And therefore, I call that understand this aspect, that close interaction has to be there between marketing, operations and human resource. Rule 7 is integrate information and communication technology. put information and communication technology at the heart of the entire thing. The more you use information communication technology, more successful you will be, more accurate you will be, more speedy you will be. Information communication technology has brought speed and accuracy. In the healthcare sector, it has been integrated. The moment the report is generated, it is available to the specialist online. In the retail banking sector, it's amazing things have happened. There was a time when the retail banking services were available only for 22 hours a week. Monday through Friday, banks were open for 4 hours, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and on Saturday for 2 hours, 10 to 12. You want to draw money, you want to deposit money, you can do only during those hours. So the retail banking facility was available for 22 hours a week. The moment they integrated information and communication technology, it is available 24 hours a day through the ATM. You can go to the ATM counter, push the card, draw the money if you have a bank balance. So retail banking facility through the information and communication technology is being made available around the clock. In the logistics industry, which is a huge industry, in the logistic industry, they have integrated again the information and communication technology. They can track your consignments on a day-to-day basis, on hourly basis, where your consignment is. I give you an example. I was traveling abroad and my baggage didn't reach. I rang up the travel agent in Delhi, and within half an hour he told me, sir, you had a connecting flight at Dubai and the time was less, and therefore the baggage could not be loaded in the other aircraft which you boarded. It will be reaching the destination tomorrow by the tomorrow's flight, so you don't worry. You can come to the airport about the time when the aircraft reaches, and you will get your baggage. Because he could track it, sitting on his own computer, he could track it. So that is possible today. Rule 8, nothing can be done unless top management is committed. Top management support is a must. No change is possible unless the top management is sensitive about what is to be done and how that has to be done. So top management support is a must. Rule 9 is that there cannot be a single prescription for everybody. There is a need to customize. Customization is the rule of the game in the services sector. Each customer is different. 3 people coming to a dentist with the left hand on the left cheek, each case is different. In the first case, the dentist says that, look, in my understanding, you have no problems. There is an infection. You hurt your gums. You must have eaten fish or something last night. So, chub gaya hai, so there is a infection. You eat 3 antibiotics for 3 days, you will be all right. In the second case, he says, oh, there is a cavity. I have to do the filling, and you will be all right thereafter. In the third case, it is a little complex case. There is a root canal which has to be done. So each case is different. So customization is the rule of the game in the services sector. Each patient coming to the doctor is a unique case, and that is where the rule 9, which is the general approach, and finally the rule 10. There is no shortcut but to innovate. Innovation is the rule of the game. Look at the Welcome Group. Welcome Group, I'm just giving examples of 2 companies. They innovated their business. 3 decades ago, Welcome Group had only 3 hotels. 2010, 100. And the vision 2015 is to have a chain of 150 hotels in 4 major categories. One is called the 7-star category. The second, they call it the 5-star category. The third, they have it the Fortune, and the fourth is the heritage hotels. Similarly, you look at the FedEx or DHL, some of these big courier companies In 70s, they were overnight mail service providers. They realized in 80s the business is not in taking mail, but the business is in consignments. So they commodity package transportation, and by the turn of the century, they realized the business is to be the partner with the companies as the logistic partner. That you don't provide for logistics, don't have your own godowns, warehouses, transport fleets and so on. Pass on that responsibility to us. We will take care of that. So friends, these are the 10 rules I thought I'll take you through in the services marketing, and more you think about it, more meaning you will see in each of this. But you decide which one is more critical for you. As I started, that critical success factor, which factor is critical for your success? Give attention to that. An NGO, the critical factor is fundraising. Give attention to the fundraising. If you raise more funds, you will be successful. If you don't raise funds, you will be doomed. In the civil aviation sector, maybe punctuality. More punctual you arrive at the destination, more successful you will be. Passengers will take you as a reliable airlines, and you will have a market share. In the hospitals, healthcare sector, it could be the hygiene standards which can result into lack of infection, and lack of infection means healthy patients coming out, they getting the treatment and getting cured. So in good hospitals, they adhere to very high hygiene standards. So is the hospitality sector. Education sector may be the quality of career which you can give to your students. So friends, I close here, and still there is some time, so I'll take some questions if there are any.
Okay, given this knowledge or given this differentiation between marketing of product and services, from the student perspective, how they should choose that I have to go in this or that, either in product marketing or the services marketing? Who are better for the services marketing? How do you judge assess the student's capability or the student?
I will call it that students don't have a choice. You have to grab what comes on your way. It is too early for you to say this interests me, this doesn't interest me. It's better that you should decide in what you must take interest.
Okay. Whatever comes to you that you take interest and excel in that.
जो practical बात है वो तो ये है. What people say, a child has certain traits, we must nurture the traits, and those traits can lead to a career.
Right.
No, that doesn't happen in India. India is a country of numbers. And you advertise for one job, you get most qualified people. I mean, I have seen, if you advertise for the post of a driver, even the postgraduates they apply, because postgraduates MA डिग्री वाले भी आ जाते हैं ड्राइवर बनने के लिए, क्योंकि MA करके भी उसको नौकरी नहीं मिलता है. So the fact is, it's unfortunately in our country, we are a country of numbers. So my advice to the young friends is, be practical in life. What comes on your way, you must decide what should be of interest to you, where you can make a good living. What comes in your way, shape your personality. Personality can be developed. Don't say ये मेरे बस का नहीं है. Everything is possible. It is being said that everybody has the ability to do. करना नहीं चाहता. So this is what it say, that why they pick up paramedical staff from Kerala. They are willing to do. Why they don't pick up paramedical staff from in Delhi? The three sides of Delhi is Haryana, one side is UP. Why hospitals they don't pick up paramedical staff? Because they say, why I should do it. And that is the reason. You must काम करके कोई मरता नहीं है. काम करोगे तो कुछ सीखोगे, सीखोगे तो कुछ बनोगे. And this is what I myself very strongly recommend. And therefore, you should not choose, but decide what comes on your way, grab it, do your level best, make a career out of it.
Okay. So, as you said that for even a single post, there are people who are highly qualified, people who are highly skilled, but still we have to find out the certain things which is
Yes.
like you cited the example of Keralites coming for the paramedical jobs. So the qualification and other skill doesn't matter. The commitment of a job is the more important than
Yes,
any other
personality. You have to shape up your personality. Yes.
thing. So this is good only for the service industry or for any other industry. Commitment is the first, then other thing.
I
will
think in
be-
every job it is like that.
Okay.
You have to really do put your best. That is what we call who is a professional. There is a definition of professional. Who is a professional? A professional is a person who does things to the best of the ability, to best of his or her ability. अपने जी जान से कोशिश करता है. एक प्रोफेशनल डॉक्टर है, वो जी जान से कोशिश करता है कि मरीज ठीक हो जाए. So that is why we call him a professional. And I think my younger friends should also appreciate it. Do your best.
Okay.
Give your best.
The rest
You will
thing
be
will follow.
successful. And you will be successful.
Okay. So, well friends, with this word we conclude the lecture. I thank all of you for watching the lecture, and on your behalf I thank Professor Ravi Shankar for giving such a wonderful lecture. Thank you very much.